Hi there everyone, my name is Shane and I'm here to make your day better. Now it's been a couple weeks since we had our last video come out and things have been crazy in the world if you haven't noticed already. And as I got back to streaming, and I've been continuing with streaming, took a single day off from streaming essentially on our normal schedule, Sunday through Thursday this week. Then the next day we did just chatting for almost 4 hours with people. And in general, I can understand what a lot of people are going through with all these different things, the anxiety, the fear, all of that. So as we talked, a good friend reminded me that, hey, I need to get back up on these videos, because as much as it feels like they don't help people at times, because I see, oh, I've got 10 views or 13 views, nothing crazy. What it does do is it does help at least one person, and that matters. And I think that a lot of what's going on in the world today is we don't think that one person matters, and that is a silly thought. Now, this is gonna be a motivational type talk as we have this video here. So motivation and all that good stuff, but along with that, it's gonna have a couple different points that go into it. That felt good. Anyways, the big thing that I want to talk on is, and Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about this a bit too, is that a lot of the problems we have in the world is that one person feels special. You can see this a lot with things like zodiac signs, or there's an analogy he uses in his master class that's really important about how if you take 100 people and you have everyone flip a coin, right? About 50 of them will get heads, and we're gonna say that everyone that gets heads, all right, is gonna move on to the next round. So 100 of them flip, about 50 of them get heads. Okay, you have one come forward. You know, they're cool. I won. The next thing, the 50 flip. Okay, you got heads. 25 of you come forward. So forth, so forth. And so you get down to the last two. They both flip. One person gets head. One person doesn't. This is in a perfect 50-50 scenario each time, of course. So a coin's the thing we're using. And that person who got heads 10 times in a row, or whatever the case, is going to feel like they've done something amazing, that they're this special person, that, oh my God, I got heads, 10 times in a row. How lucky. But there's certain things with odds and feeling special that are different. And this goes to feeling special is dangerous. Stoicism also talks a lot about that, how the ego is the enemy. But you need to understand that even if that part is dangerous, that each person is important. They're two very closely held together things. Worrying that, okay, I am more important than someone else, that's dangerous. But understanding that that person's life has value, you have to be able to differentiate between the two of them. And I think that people don't do that enough nowadays. Empathy is in short supply, and you don't just see people going out of their way to do things. We also talked on that just chatting about how a simple gesture like holding the door is something big for people, and how people's priorities and time is different in different cultures. And I think that lives are less important to the majority of people than objects are. And it takes a lot of self-reflection and understanding what is important to you to get over that. My motivational talk on this today is kind of to talk on that, but also just that everything you're doing is okay as well. One of the hardest times that I had in my life initially was, how many years ago now was that? 6, 7, 8 years ago, however long it was initially, when I did go through a big life change, and I moved out of the place I was living in and relied on some friends and the kindness of their couch. And I left a lot of things behind as I left a relationship with someone that wasn't good, and decided to say, no, I need to get out of this. I need to put myself first. And one of the things I did during that time was I adopted minimalism a lot, and it helped me kind of put things in focus. There was a challenge from one of the different groups that I was in, and that challenge was to write down 100 things that if you had to pack up and leave and go right now, that you would want to own. And that's, everyone hears that and they say, wait, you only own 100 things? That's insane. But phantom shivers. It's like 106 outside, so I'm cranking the AC. People say, oh, that's insane. 100 things, that's nothing. And it goes a lot slower than you'd think. So I wrote down things like, well, I need my car. Your car keys come with your car. You don't have to worry about that, right? And at the time I said, well, I need my laptop. And my laptop has a charger. I need my phone. It has a charger. So I didn't have to double up like phone and charger, or whatever the case. And so the things that I liked took me maybe 25 things, right? Things that are important to me, but I don't need to have took up a lot of it. Like, I have a good book collection. I read as much as I can, but at the same time, those books have served their purpose for a lot of them. And I like that I've read them and have them. If they were in digital format now, in case I ever wanted to reread them, it wouldn't bother me or anything in that regard. But I do like reading a book physically. I retain it better, but I also don't need to have it. I'm not trying to get all Marie Kondo on you and talk about how something, if it spreads joy or not. But going back into this, I barely was able to finish 100 things that I want to own. And a lot of stuff people don't realize is that way. The most important thing that you can have in your life are relationships with people. The actual laughing late at night with someone over an inside joke. In particular, one in my mind right now about hitting 5,000 views. And something that came up about being sent something in the mail. And, you know, friendships with people, loved ones, family, it's all important. And I think that we get away from that very quickly when you're scared or have anxiety. And we need to be aware where we are. Life is made up of moments, and that's the most important thing you can think of. We beat God of War last night, for instance, and I kept telling people what really drove the game home for me as a masterpiece of a game in so many regards was moments. The little moments how Kratos would help out his son and teach him a lesson, and different things put together. And I also talk in music very often, how a good song has a wow moment. It's that drop or that big chorus or something. And you know, a lot of people joke about Nickelback, for instance, and they say how all their music is very bland and it sounds the same. And that's why people have a hard time, for a lot of people, listening to the music straight through. I'm not bashing on Nickelback at all here. I'm just trying to say, here's why. It's because a lot of it sounds the same. It's formulated and people get that. But if you go back to some of their older songs, what's the name of that one? But You Remind Me, I think is what it's called. He has a really good wow moment on the third chorus, I want to say, where it pauses, it's just his voice, it has a good crescendo, and everyone you talk to about that band will say, well, I liked that song. And it's because it had that wow moment. So pedal it back here a couple, because I tend to rant. But moments are where you get a lot of that put together. And you need to understand that when you have that with family and friends, that's what's important with so much of this. So this talk, more than anything else, if it takes 10 minutes or whatever the timer goes to, is about understanding those things. Your objects are just gonna poof eventually into existence. And as much as you want to take everything with you in so many of these ways, you simply can't do that, unfortunately. So helping out a friend who's in a tough spot right now as they go through not only this pandemic, but this huge social reform and change is important. Giving them that extra time to listen to them, reaching out to someone and making sure they're okay. All those things go hand in hand together to really drive home the factor that you can actually build this community and friends and make something different of it. Because 10 years from now, when a lot of us are looking back on the year 2020, as the year 2030 rolls in, and we make jokes and we make memes about how, as long as it's not as bad as 10 years ago, there's gonna be people who weren't completely aware of the time that it was now and this moment in history. And I want you to fully understand and realize how much the moments that you make and focus on matter. So take a moment every day, try and make someone smile, try and reach out to a friend, try and give something back to someone who's given so much to you, and see how far you can push that. Now, I am trying to not push my younger sister with her editing too much because things are crazy as well. She's going back to work too. I've been back to work, working about minimum of a 30, but usually 40-hour work week, and we're still streaming about 30 to 40 hours as well. We have a podcast coming out shortly soon too again. Getting that going, you know, things are always being built. We did start the 100 Days of Summer. If you're curious about that, we have a link on that in our Discord, but also the Facebook page. And I'll be going through and doing different things there, making some videos on completing some of those goals as well. If you know me, I'm very goal oriented. It's how my brain works. I like to know I've done things and had those moments. But more than anything, thank you for spending some time with me. If you've made it this far into the video, I truly appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that little cool stuff and animations she always does. She's the best. If you haven't seen the one where she added Phineas and Ferb to the 100 Days of Summer, that made me smile so much. Or the one where I was talking about the Just Do It. That one, I was rolling laughing. She's an amazing editor. Make sure you give her credit as well. So that's everything for me. today I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to stream. We're gonna be streaming some new games on our Beat Every Console Game challenge. And more importantly than all of that, have a nice day.